Welcome back, Roots. It's Joe, and welcome to another episode of Speedrun. So, 2015, I released a review video where I reviewed, quote-unquote, all the Call of Duty games. But the video ended up being about several just basic remarks about games, and about a 10-minute rant about Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. So, I totally ignored the fact that I didn't play the first 3 games. So, I watched that video again. I was really unsatisfied with the way it turned out, and I kind of revisited my experiences with the Call of Duty series as a whole. So now I've returned, and I want to actually do a review, quickly, of every single main series Call of Duty game. All of these, plus the first 3. Yes, I'm doing every single one. Basically, these are going to be short synopsis reviews of the campaign, multiplayer, and any bonus modes that were in the game. It's going to be a longer speedrun, but either way, here we go. This is the Call of Duty series. Yeah. Call of Duty. Call of Duty as a general term by today's standards can be described simply as bare bones. The campaign is a 24-mission triple campaign set during World War II through American, British, and Russian lenses. It's very basic, there's nothing too special, missions are relatively short and that's why there are so many. Just shoot guys and blow things up occasionally. It's pretty boring nowadays, but I respect what it started. And Steve Blum and Jason Statham voice in it, and that's a plus. The multiplayer is the most bare-bones experience. Set classes, set game modes, no leveling system, grenades are their own item slot, instead of health regeneration there's medkits. It's Call of Duty in its most basic possible form. It's not bad by any means, but it's not something I devote a lot of time to. It doesn't really hold up by today. Call of Duty started what would become a titan of a game franchise, and I can see the love and time devoted to developing the game, but still, it's really not as great in 2019 as it was in 2003, especially with all the options we have now. 5 out of 10. Call of Duty 2. Call of Duty 2 is quite impressive for its time with its 3-tiered and 27-mission campaign, but in my opinion, lacks quality where there's plenty of quantity. There's no real sense of camaraderie in the characters, and the game is still really bland. It's more of the same basic mission structures from COD 1, same 3-tier style, except it's partly during the African front this time, but still, the story is very generic. Multiplayer is still a very bare-bones experience, a little more close to what would become COD multiplayer today, but unfortunately, couldn't play it very much because it barely ever works on modern PCs. Call of Duty 2 slightly improves on the first game, but is still a very generic and basic FPS game. Nothing I'd really spend too much time with, unfortunately. 6 out of 10. Call of Duty 3. I can't stand this game. Don't get me wrong, it tries, but my god, it's just a snooze fest, and a game really not worth playing. The campaign has cool ideas. We have the American campaign, but also the British and French, Canadian, and Polish. That's amazing, that's something we don't usually see. But something specific besides its generic, repetitive gameplay makes COD 3 unbearable. Look, COD is known for having over-the-top storylines and epic action movie moments, but COD 3 is so dramatic, it might as well be a soap opera called Bullet Brothers. There are so many unnecessary dramatic moments in this game. For crying out loud, in the first mission, the commander threatens to shoot his men for wanting to retreat. The first mission! It's a slog and not a fun one at all for me. Call of Duty 3 also has to have one of the weakest multiplayers I've seen or gotten my hands on in a Call of Duty game. Short and simple, doesn't feel like Call of Duty. Large point modes, strange use of the vehicles, kits instead of classes. COD 3 feels like a shoddy Battlefield prototype from the times I've touched its multiplayer at a friend's house. 1 out of 10. Not for me. Ever. Nothing about this game says good, and I'm glad Treyarch got another shot at Call of Duty after this to make some of the series best. Too much change and too much ambition with not enough focus. Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare / Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered. Infinity Ward's Call of Duty 4 can be considered the birthplace of the modern COD game. This game features an excellent story in its campaign, with ups and downs and fascinating characters, offering scarily real scenarios for the time it came out. Multiplayer offers some of the best maps in Call of Duty to date, along with some of its most iconic weapons. Modern Warfare is not free of issues, though. I find the multiplayer can be quite unbalanced in terms of spawn points and weapon damage, and the original doesn't age well for console with modders all over, but the PC version is still pretty solid. For my COD 4 fix, I turned to Modern Warfare Remastered, though. a graphical update by Raven Software and IW packaged with Infinite Warfare, or if you waited long enough, it was a $40 standalone. The game remains for the most part faithful, but falls kind of flat as it finds itself stuffed with modern Call of Duty's microtransactions and pointless cosmetics, later with pretty OP guns, but offers new party modes like Prop Hunt Slasher, or how it's better known amongst players, Michael Myers, and snipers only, and new features like bots and custom games. Both for their legacy, fun but equally problematic details, I seat both games as an 8 out of 10. Call of Duty World at War. World at War is Treyarch's second foray into the Call of Duty series, and an excellent one at that. Rooted back into the series' World War II roots, the campaign is one of the most epic and enticing, bringing upon fascinating new perspectives and monumental climaxes. Multiplayer feels a little clunky compared to COD 4 and anything else today, but I still find a lot of enjoyment in the maps and gameplay even in 2019. Then, of course, World at War is known for its introduction of Nazi zombies, which was my first draw into the series. Originally a bonus mode for completing the campaign, World at War Zombies does feel a little slow and empty by the spoiled nature of COD Zombies today, but I can still look back and appreciate the beginning of it all. And I can't even tell you the amount of hours I poured into custom maps on PC, which, by the way, nowadays PC is the definitive version of Call of Duty World at War, as DLC was released in free patches before future games made PC pay, like console. Plus, I will gladly play 30v30 on wall multiplayer any day. World at War is still one of my favorites, solid in so many aspects, gets a solid 9 out of 10. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. In the original video, I was quite bitter towards Modern Warfare 2, but in playing it on PC after the fact, I grew a newfound appreciation for it. My bitter sentiments towards it may have come from the fact that I missed Modern Warfare 2's heyday, and I lost countless 1v1s on Rust to friends and siblings. But the game offers an excellent continuation to COD 4's story, and the multiplayer is one of the most intense, fast-paced, and lively of any Call of Duty. I can appreciate how this game created careers and friendships, but like any other game in the series, it has issues. Multiplayer, in my opinion, can be horrendously imbalanced, with some weapons and kill streaks being just too strong and hardly defensible. The game also has some less than savory maps, and gave way to some of the most toxic behaviors the series has seen. I like to spend most of my time in Spec Ops missions, fooling around with friends, which I still love to do. Many hours were spent in those missions when I was younger. Modern Warfare 2 gets an easy 7 out of 10. By no means a bad game and holds a legendary legacy, but the awful balancing is not on its side. Call of Duty Black Ops. I've heard most people that I know say that this was one of their least favorite Call of Duty games, but I can barely find any negatives for Black Ops. The campaign is by far my favorite ever. Continuing World at Wars, but playing a lot with the Black Ops theme and leaving you questioning a lot. The game offers also a still unique time period to the Black Ops series with the Cold War, and this game even more specific with the Vietnam War. The game's graphical style, in my opinion, is gorgeous and still holds up 9 years later. Multiplayer offers some of the best multiplayer maps like Nuketown and Summit, some of my favorite DLC maps in the series like Drive-In and Kowloon, an introduced gun game, One of the Chamber, Sharpshooter, and the new Wager Matches mode where you could compete for COD points, and led to party modes. The original COD point system as a precursor to unlock tokens is slightly strange, but I never found it to be too much of an issue. Customization grew with face paint, reticles, clan tags on guns, emblems, etc. Just so much. Multiplayer felt for the most part balanced and offered fun gameplay in so many unique settings. Zombies returns with some of the most challenging maps like Shangri-La and Call of the Dead, but also added so many new things to the World at War formula. Plus, we got the first introduction of the modern Easter egg in Black Ops 1 when Ascension dropped, and it became a staple in every map after. I have to give Black Ops a solid 9.5 out of 10. I'm highly biased, but I can't really think of anything I find particularly negative with the game, and it offers so many new things. Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3. Even though I was a year late to the game, I believe Modern Warfare 3 to be the COD game I spent the most time playing. Whether at my friend's house playing Infected, reaching Prestige 2 on my brother's PSN, or grinding 2v2s and face-off before getting a PS4. I skipped out on MW3's campaign for a while, which was a mistake, and it was a disheartening but action-packed conclusion to the Modern Warfare story. Multiplayer is easily one of the best the series has seen, maps, weapons, and all, brought in so many new game modes like Drop Zone, Juggernaut, and its claim to fame, as I mentioned before, Infected. Easily one of the most addicting game modes at the time, took a simple idea and ran with it. Its main flaws are in hit detection, as some things should register that do not, and vice versa. Survival mode takes a combination of the zombies wave-based formula and mashes it in with Spec Ops, making something truly fun and unique that I spent hours playing with my friends. Plus, you have classic Spec Ops missions if you want to do that anyway. Chaos was a DLC-only mode that I would comment on if I had played it more than a few times with a friend, but I didn't own the DLC at home. I do remember enjoying it though, but other than that, I really don't have an opinion. A strong entry in the franchise, and for a third entry in a story, finishes strong. Modern Warfare 3 gets a 9 out of 10. Call of Duty Black Ops 2. I still feel mixed towards this game, but not as bitter as I used to be. It angers me in the old video that I called this game's campaign boring without touching it. It honestly has become another one of my favorites, from its iconic and loved characters' throwback missions to the 80s with Woods and Mason, practically flipping the style of Black Ops 1 on its rear, and ever enticing new characters. Zombies was alright. There were some pointless maps and throwaways like all the side green run maps, which I guess could be seen as casual, and Nuketown, which was fun but not totally necessary. Transit and Die Rise aren't totally bad maps, but find themselves rough around the edges then and even more so now. But we get to see the awesome playground of Buried, and the best of Jason Blundell, with Mob of the Dead and Origins being his first 2 maps on the Zombies team. Zombies is a mixed bag in Black Ops 2, offering some of the series' best and worst. Grief and Turned are both enjoyable game modes that, as of now, have not seen a return, which is a real shame. Multiplayer has some of the best maps of the series, a few in base game, many in DLC. Balancing is moderately decent in the game, but can find itself frustrating at times. My main issue with Black Ops 2 is that I don't believe the base game holds up. I feel like especially now, the game relies on DLC to be a fun experience, at least for myself. I spent many hours in Black Ops 2, but I can for certainly say that many were not enjoyable. But hey, we got Diamond Camo, right? Black Ops 2 gets a 5 out of 10 for me. Just doesn't hold up through rose-tinted glasses. Call of Duty Ghosts. Call of Duty Ghosts is a generally disliked game that, once again, I find so much merit and fun in, and it upsets me that I didn't make the most of this game when it was the main release. Campaign. I don't really care about it that much. Yes, we had Riley, but I don't give a crap about the Federation, or the Ghosts, or Rourke, and it left on a cliffhanger that'll most likely never get resolved, so it can get out. Now, multiplayer has some of the best hit detection in the franchise, and honestly some of my personal favorite maps. Weapons are balanced and easy to use, there's a lot of fun to be had in game modes like Cranked, and I can't believe I tired so quickly of it, now playing it so long after the fact. It brings back Tactical Lean, an ability only available in past PC releases of COD, and it's cool to see it on console too. Customization was crazy cool, but the game started to be hit by many microtransactions. The game suffers also from remake-itis, but tends to offer new features to remastered maps like the Behind areas in Showtime, a remake of COD 4 Shipment. One of the main complaints is that some maps were just too big for the COD style of gameplay, which I can see, but this found itself mostly corrected by the DLC, which I guess is honestly just unfortunate. Also, having played both the last gen and new gen versions, the new gen version faces some really strange frame drops that can be quite distracting. I also came to love the most hated game mode, probably. Extinction. Continuation from the main campaign, kinetic strikes revealed an ancient civilization known as the Cryptids below the surface of the Earth that is trying to take their home back. There's so much variety in the classes, and so much fun in each level of Extinction. It's arcadey and a blast with friends, and I'd arguably say it's a cross between Left 4 Dead, Killing Floor, and some crazy cryptid alien sci-fi stuff. It's not for everyone, but I still think it stands strong as one of COD's more unique and fun game modes instead of just another Zombies copy. COD Ghosts offers some fantastic changes and additions, and despite its of a campaign, it gets a solid 7 out of 10. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. I went on a tangent about Advanced Warfare, but now I can simply sum up my feelings towards it. No, I don't think it's a good game, which is a shame for how much time and money I invested in it. I'll be straight up to say that I don't like Advanced Warfare's campaign, and I've heard so many good things about it, but personally I did not care much for any of the characters or the story. It just felt like it took itself way too seriously. A whole lot of big boy capitalism doing things over big boy government. What do you know, big boy capitalism is bad and so is North Korea. Have to pay respects. It looks good, yeah, but there's nothing of substance. Predictable twist, standard linear levels, and worst of all, Kevin Spacey. I enjoyed multiplayer up until a certain point before I noticed its bigger flaws. The new supply drop variant system created a super deep-seated imbalance in the game. The movement system, for me, became novel after a few months of playtime. There were many old maps remastered that just didn't have the same feel, nor play the same with the new movement system, which was a big turn away. Exo Zombies had an amazing cast and quite a fascinating story, but found itself trapped behind a DLC paywall, with no maps included with the base game. Rather, we had Exo Survival, which took the solid foundation of Modern Warfare 3's game mode and tore it apart with different armored class systems, a weird credit system, and objective waves. Exo Zombies was fun enough for the time being, but didn't offer enough variety or fun with its weird upgrade system and imbalanced maps. Compared to Treyarch's, it just didn't offer anything much to return to now. Advanced Warfare, for its imbalance, paywalls, and frustrating movement, gets a 2 out of 10. Novelty didn't mean good, at least for me. Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3 takes everything wrong with Advanced Warfare and makes it fun. Black Ops 3's movement system is easy to learn and a ton of action-packed fun, making multiplayer unique and fast, and it really works great. Multiplayer is fantastic, DLC and all, but fell apart balance-wise on a kind of pay-to-win black market, with extremely rare and overpowered weapons in the mix. But I'd be lying if they didn't give you opportunities to earn these weapons. Campaign is way too complex for its own good, with options and information nobody ever had need for, some examples lying in selecting special abilities and practice mode, and the story is honestly such a disappointing follow-up to the rest of the Black Ops series that many, including myself, don't even count it as canon to the others. Yes, had 4-player co-op in realistic difficulty, which were nice additions, but the characters are unlikable. There's no good motivations for the actions of the villains, etc., train go boom. Where Black Ops 3 really shines is within zombies, which in my opinion is the best the series has to offer. There are so many maps, including Zombies Chronicles, which is one of the best purchases I've made for any game, with fan-serviced and beautiful remasters of 8 fan-favorite maps, and the game offers just some of the best maps in the series, like Der Eisendrache and Grad Krovi. Gobblegums, despite claims of imbalance, added fun bonuses and variety to the game, and weapon kits allowed players finally to customize weapons and zombies with specific attachments and combos. The only complaint I really have is that DLC weapons weren't added to every single Zombies map, but only the next one after. A misstep that was corrected in later games. Freerun was a small parkour game mode based around the game's movement system, and it could have been something really awesome, but it never received new maps or updates after launch. There was also Nightmares, but we don't have to talk about that. Do I really have to? Fine. Nightmares is literally the campaign, but with zombies. It's the worst thing in this game. Look, they couldn't even model the zombies right. Human arms and zombie faces. Just play actual zombies. And Dead Ops Arcade 2 is just Dead Ops. Oh, but I'm sorry, you can swim now. They're here if you want, but there's no emphasis on them. Black Ops 3 is an excellent Call of Duty, but falls kinda short with buggy UIs and glitches, an awful tacked-on campaign, and a balance towards the end of its life cycle. But in terms of content, the game offers just so much. Black Ops 3 gets an 8 out of 10. Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. This game was horrible for a month or so after release, missing basic things like a leaderboard and having heaps of micro DLC. But when all was fixed, Infinite Warfare repeated what Black Ops 3 did in terms of movement, but made it its own, and did it well. I really enjoyed Infinite Warfare. The campaign was really quite fascinating for a space-age Call of Duty and offered some open-world feelings which I really did not expect. No, I didn't care for the story very much or the characters, but it honestly shocked me that I had some fun in it. Multiplayer has some pretty decent maps and some decent remakes, adjusted to work with the new gameplay. Variants returned, but very few felt overpowered or unbalanced. DLC weapons could be available to all players by not only being available through supply drops, but also through easy-to-complete challenges. And unlike Black Ops 3, any DLC weapons were added to all Zombies maps, and Zombies weapon kits. The whole movie theme of Infinite Warfare Zombies is something I really love and appreciate as a film buff. And of course, there was a super Easter egg, and that's something that Treyarch missed out on in Black Ops 3. Look, it had a rocky start, and it is similar to Black Ops 3, but still, I think it's an excellent COD game in its own right, and it deserved a fair chance. 7 out of 10. Call of Duty World War II. Call of Duty World War II is no doubt a good game, just not innovative enough. The campaign is a fantastic story of brotherhood and friendship in the face of war, and gives us some of the most timely and interesting characters, brings back feelings of COD 1 with the health kits, and it's just an all-around good World War II story. Multiplayer has classic game modes, and brings us back to boots on the ground, with classic and beloved World War II weapons, and fun. The new War mode adds long mission-like games, where multiple objectives have to be completed to win. This game mode was one of the best innovations of COD World War II. The main issue I have with multiplayer is it finds itself quite slow compared to past boots on the ground, which overall makes the game less enjoyable. DLC weapons and items also serve more as a problem than a fun addition. While the MWR salvage system makes its return, it finds its same flaws in super expensive items towards one or two small weapon skins, and time-sensitive materials bogging down the black market. Zombies in World War II brings us back to the entire concept of COD Zombies' roots. Nazi zombies, but this time trying to be more horror-filled. The game is scary for like 2 minutes, and then the idea fades off. Story tries to root itself in alternate history, but for me it really missed the mark, which is a shame, because the performances are great. Some maps are good, some not so much, and the game is bogged down by an overabundance of mini-bosses. I find that the game just feels like a poor clone of past COD Zombies and don't find too much to return to nowadays. Unfortunately, World War II does have a lot good to offer, and just so much potential, but outside campaign and some fun in there occasionally, fails to leave anything super worthwhile to return to, from my perspective. 7 out of 10. And last but not least, Call of Duty Black Ops 4. As of now, the final game in the franchise, and my goodness, due to Activision, this game really falls by the wayside. Feels like a cash grab. No campaign, and no, I don't really count the specialist missions, and completely changed zombies. The only thing focused upon really is the Blackout Battle Royale. My Battle Royale interest kind of died with Fortnite Season 5, and by the time Black Ops 4 dropped, despite the fan service that Blackout relies on, I don't enjoy it in the slightest, and I practically never touch it. It feels completely imbalanced and random, and there's just too much filler in its items and the lockables that there's just nothing worthwhile there. There's also just too many places to hide. In a game like PUBG, you can play in either first or third person. In third, you have more spatial awareness, but there is no option in Blackout, so the camping is rampant and just bothersome. Black Ops 4's Black Market system also takes the hit because of this, as its entirety is structured around a Battle Pass-esque system. Again, like Blackout itself, this is inflated with random filler, stickers, and emotes. Multiplayer is extremely flighty in terms of weapons, and many players focus their playstyle around equipment, and I just don't find much enjoyment in the gameplay of Black Ops 4's multiplayer. And many of the maps in the Black Ops Pass don't help any of this. The game is also chock full of pointless remakes that honestly just don't fit the playstyle of the game. 4 of 14 maps on launch were remakes, and would cycle constantly. My problem with Zombies lies not centrally in the changes. I understand that they needed to alter the gameplay for the new story, and actually the Chaos content is my favorite part of BO4 Zombies, while I find Aether kind of falls on the wayside. Well, that was until Alpha Omega came out. The perks and special weapon systems are not an issue and actually kind of unique. Elixirs and talismans take the gobblegums and tone down their power, which is understandable, but you'll never need use of any of them past the commons. Rush is a decently fun little arcadey point game mode, not too much to offer, and Gauntlet's challenges are really cool, for the most part. This ties back to maps. Voyage, 9, Dead of the Night, Alpha Omega, and Ancient Evil are all really good maps, and honestly, this game should have developed the Chaos content more instead of just in the comic books, because the Aether content until Alpha Omega felt really rushed, and just disappointing in comparison. Look, I liked the idea of Blood of the Dead and Classified, but the only one of the two I really got a lot of enjoyment out of was playing Classified. These characters and locations feel kind of disserviced in this gameplay, and my main issue is that Blood of the Dead is unenjoyably difficult in stupid places. Therein, the gauntlets are an excellent idea, and well done on quite a few maps. Not Blood of the Dead, that's the worst one that likes to be hard for no good reason. Excuse me. There's potential here, but the game changed so much in its core gameplay where it isn't very fun anymore. Black Ops 3 was complex, yes, but every map had a sense of casuality to it, that anyone can still pick it up and play the maps for what they are, other than maybe Zetsubo. Black Ops 4 really has that for only a few maps, where the others like Blood of the Dead or Dead of the Night have a lot of extraneous things that are practically necessary to survival, like silver bullets or the shield which is necessary to pack-a-punch on blood. Guns are extremely underpowered to promote you pack-a-punching multiple times and raising the power, which is so unnecessarily tacked on in terms of difficulty. Zombies also no longer follow, but hone in, which gets you hit in situations you shouldn't. The shield glitches often, you'll get hit in times you never should, and getting hit at times locks you in place, which could lead you to death. There is just too much unnecessary difficulty in changes that makes the game so much less fun to play, and I honestly choose not to, as playing Black Ops 4 Zombies feels more like a chore than a game. That's really a shame, because of just how much content for zombies the game offers. There's also no word if Factions is officially cancelled when it was promised on launch. Otherwise, we have to see what happens in DLC 4 and Zombies Chronicles 2, if it is in fact officially happening. Black Ops 4 is an absolute mess, and I just can't get behind it in this state. If the entire game had had the same focus and love that the newest DLC, Operation Apocalypse Z, had, I think it could have been something special. Definitely hyped it up way too much for myself, which is very much my fault, but it also does come down to not delivering or deserving the Black Ops name, which feels tacked on as a selling point. 5 out of 10. In the original video, I made my claim that the Call of Duty series was dead. While I'm much less angered about it now than I was then, I still for the most part agree with that sentiment. Call of Duty as it stands under the command of Activision has shown a steady decline, where while fans do complain about nitpicky things, when real problems are brought to light, they for the most part aren't addressed. Activision is way more concerned with microtransactions and meeting a bottom line than they are with appeasing fans and controlling heavily how these games are made now more than ever. It also holds to be no secret that Call of Duty is a series plagued by repetition, which I used in the original video as a negative against it. But even so, it's why many of us return to the series, for new spins on old game modes. Yet, one issue I did bring up I do see as a problem. For the price of DLC, which helps keep many of the COD games lively, players are dumped with new maps that, now more than ever, seem to lack innovation, or old maps with a fresh coat of paint, something that has been happening even since the days of COD 3. I do believe Treyarch, Infinity Ward, Sledgehammer, Raven, etc. really do want to give us fans all we want. Really do care about the feedback and making good games. And honestly, what's killing the COD franchise in my opinion isn't nitpicky mechanics or glitches, or even DLC. It's the toxicity and self-entitled parts of the fanbase, and the greedy corporation pulling the strings. Both of which, these developers are powerless to. I guess we can only wait and see what Modern Warfare brings. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like, comment, love to hear your feedback. Follow me on Twitter. Subscribe, join us today. Tell your friends. I hope you guys like these speedrun videos. I love doing these fast reviews. There are some games I've been playing recently that I do want to do some longer reviews for if I find the time. So hopefully I can do that. But yeah, hopefully you like these longer videos and stuff like that. And hopefully I can make more of them besides just the Let's Play stuff. I'm just kind of doing whatever I feel like doing. But anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. See you guys in the next one. Joe, signing out. Bye, everyone.